So I will always repeat this over and over again because it's so, so important to understand that the reason why I always spend time looking at charts, analyzing charts, and trying to figure out the whys. Like the other day, I posted something on Twitter. There was a trader, a guy that I respect, and he's from a school that I learned from in the past. And he said, the whys are not important. It's the hows and whens and all that stuff. And I couldn't disagree with that more. I really could not disagree with that more because the only way you can accumulate enough information about the markets to actually understand the reality of what's taking place is to look at the charts and ask yourself the question why. If you don't ask yourself why did it do that, how are you ever going to learn? And so, but that answer, that oh don't worry, don't look at the whys, that is such a typical, you know, this is all about strategies. Don't overthink things. If you overthink things, then you're not going to get things right. It's all a numbers game. Just figure out a trading plan that says, every time this exact same thing happens, you're going to get involved in the market. If you trade like that, you'll never learn anything, period. You'll never know how to adjust your analysis to reflect the real situation. So the more you study charts, the more you're going to see that there's a certain way the markets will play out. Okay, you know how like in the last class that we did on Monday, I was saying, here's another one of those examples. What happens when a demand zone is created and price rallies up and it comes and it tests it and it shoots up to the upside? What happens in the future? When price comes down to that demand zone, what always happens? The demand zone always gets respected and it moves up. So if you know that fact to be true, and you know it's a fact to be, and it's true, not because you read it in a textbook, not because I told you it, but because you saw it with your own eyes over and over and over again in the markets, okay? That's the reason why, because you saw the reality of it. Not because somebody told you, but you're seeing it. Okay, once you start knowing that, when you're trying to decipher, let's say you come across a situation, and this has happened with us. You come across a situation where you're doing chart analysis and you're trying to determine whether or not an area is demand or not. And you just don't know because there's something about that formation that is telling you it could be or it could not be. So you draw it in. And you recognize when you draw it in that it's that same formation that you've recognized 1,000 times, where price comes off and then it comes in with a little bit of a wick, hits that area and shoots up to the moon. So now you say to yourself, all right, I have one thing to verify that this is a demand zone by the way that this wick came down and tested that area of demand and shot to the upside. What's the second thing that will verify? Because you've seen this happen so many times. What will happen later on when price comes into that area? It should react and shoot up. And so if you go forward and you see that exact same thing happen, then guess what? That's a demand zone. And now you can reverse engineer type of thing. You can see what was the supply zone that was removed that demand zone took out. And now you can see the validity or the legitimacy of all the preceding analysis that leads up to that demand zone. So this is how you work out how the market is, whether your analysis is true or it's not true. And so when I was looking at the dollar, okay, it was before